This interview is with Kaan Husmek, who is 7-1-1. He is the number one amateur in Australia and New Zealand in the welterweight division. He is making his pro debut against Harry Webb August 18th at Hex Fight Series 27, Melbourne Pavilion. You can see that on Fight TV. Now, look, this is a very, very intriguing fight. Kaan taking on Harry Webb. They're two of the, at that time, they were the two of the most impressive amateurs. And Harry Webb made his pro debut on Eternal not too long ago and did incredibly well. We've had him on the show before. Check him out. You can check out the interviews, YouTube, or the podcast. Kaan is just a great mentality. He's talks about his Turkish heritage and, of course, his family supporting his dream and the really illustrious Turkish alumni that are fighting in Australian MMA. Burak Saman, who is a really well-known jiu-jitsu player in Australia. Of course, you've got Kaan Husmek, who's the Hex featherweight champion. They're all helping each other out. Emrahan Hekamuglu, who you guys have seen before on the show. They're all just helping each other out, and as Kaan says, they have each other's back, and it's really, really interesting to listen to and interesting to see. So Kaan breaks that down, his amateur career, heading into his pro, and what we can expect for him. He's got a 3-fight plan. It's very, very intriguing to see where he will end up. So without further ado, guys, I hope you enjoy. This is the man taking on Harry Webb, August 18th, Hex Fight Series 27. Ladies and gentlemen, Kaan Husmek. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the show, he'll be taking on Harry Webb, August 18th, Hex Fight Series 27, Melbourne Pavilion. Kaan Husmek, mate, welcome.
Assalamu alaikum, my brother. Thank you for having me.
Oh, mate, you know, I know it's super awkward. Honest to God, did not plan this. Do you want to know whose shirt I'm wearing right now?
I do see it's a pretty cool.
Harry Webb.
Hey, it's a pretty cool t-shirt. I'll give him that.
Now, I actually wanted to talk to you just quickly about your t-shirts. Talk to me about your clothing label because I've seen that pop up recently, and I thought I'd give it a quick shout out.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you. So 64 UF, yeah, this is actually collection 4 that's going to be coming out soon, hopefully. I'm going to start my pre-orders this weekend, but it's a beautiful community that I'm growing another venture business to support the lifestyle that I'm trying to pursue. But yeah, got my own clothing brand.
Well, speaking of supporting the lifestyle, I mean, you're, I think, nine amateur fights, 7-1-1. You're building a whole community behind you. I mean, your YouTube page is huge. I think you got 1,000-odd subscribers. Like, you're doing daily vlogs. Mate, you absolutely, like, you're turning this already into a business, and you're yet to have your pro debut. Like, have you always sort of envisioned it going this way?
I understand with this lifestyle, if I just go all in, just as in like just fight, it's not enough. And I realize that it's a new time, it's a new generation, you know, times have changed. And I look at people like Justin Gaethje, Alexander Volkanovski, Israel Adesanya, and I see what these individuals are doing with their lifestyles. And don't get me wrong, I'm not to their degree yet. I'm not on their pedigree, but I take inspiration off of that and I try to apply it myself, even though I haven't had my professional fight yet, as you said, but trying to grow it as much as I can, because honestly, pursuing this lifestyle for a long time is hard. So having that little bit of a backing, that way when I do make it, I'll have different business avenues and different business ventures, hopefully, that'll open up for me through this. But it's fun. I love it. I love every second of it.
So in terms of financially, how much are these little things helping you out? Like, are you full-time training? How many PTs do you have to do? Do you get enough money from the clothing? Like sort of break it down to me.
Well, I actually just got announced as a YouTube partner. So that's a big accomplishment for me, 2 years in the making. So I'm going to finally get monetized through my YouTube videos, which I'm ecstatic about. But that's just started. I haven't gotten paid or anything yet. I also work at Coles part-time to fund the lifestyle on the weekends. And then I do coach classes out of my primary gym, XFC Narre Warren, and I do conduct PTs. So don't get me wrong, I don't earn a crazy amount. And alhamdulillah, I'm grateful that I'm still living with my parents. I've got a roof over my head. I've got clean bed sheets to sleep in, food provided on the table, you know. So being young, not having any expenses, not having the missus to worry about or anything like that, I'm trying to make the most of it, man. But yeah, it's just enough to get me by with this lifestyle. Hopefully something comes from it.
Well, you talked about obviously the family and the parents helping you out at 23, Turkish descent. How are the Turkish parents? Are they like, no, 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 don't leave, or are they like, get a job?
Look, my dad's on my ass all the time, but let me say this. Starting out was very, very difficult. Having that type of parents, they're a bit old school mentality, and it was very hard because my older brother, tried to help me as much as he could, but my dad's especially very stubborn. So he forced me into the job field, working the full proper 9 to 5. And I wanted to pursue this at all times, but I needed to prove it through my actions. I didn't want to just say, yeah, mum, I want to be a full-time fighter. They're going to be like, what?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. So I satisfied their needs while I was trying to pursue it and prove it through my actions that, look, this is something I'm capable of doing, something I want to do. Don't get me wrong, I had their support, but they were on my ass about working. So the more fights I had, the more of an impact I've been able to make and the progress that they've been able to see from it. Now they kind of understand it, and they wish I would work more, to be honest, in terms of like more financially, but they understand that they trust me. They love me, and I'm grateful and immensely appreciative of it. And they just trust that, inshallah, something's going to come from this. It's inevitable, but it's all going to come in the future.
Do they know how good you are? I mean, you currently ranked number 1 in Australia and New Zealand as the amateur welterweight. I mean, I know your profile will be at lightweight, but do they know how good you are?
To be honest, they do. They do. And they have faith in me. But every single fight, no matter who the opponent is, they're always nervous for me. But they believe in me and support me 100%, and that means the world to me.
Now, the Turkish community, especially in MMA, is exploding. I mean, you seem to be obviously getting a few rounds with Kaan Husmek, Absolute MMA, the Hex featherweight champion. Is it just, do you guys just gather around, like Emraham was at Hex, like I believe Burak as well? Like the Turkish guys, do you guys just sort of gravitate towards each other?
Not necessarily just Turkish. I think it's just the Muslim brothers, It's just the Muslim community. We all get together. We all get behind one another. And I'm immensely grateful for all the boys at Absolute and ASA, Absolute MMA, Rising Tide, the famous quote that they like to say. But it's beautiful to see that the community is finally growing and like fully getting a name for itself. Like, I'm still grateful for all the other, obviously, cultures, ethnicities. By no means am I biased or anything like that. But the Muslim community gets behind one another, and it's just growing ever more.
Now, with your team of XFC, and I see that obviously you're training a lot more at Absolute MMA, I'm going to go out here and assume that although there's some great guys at XFC, is it that, are you starting to notice that you need that sort of iron sharpens iron, that higher level? I mean, I don't mean that insultingly, but like that higher level with Absolute MMA? Don't
get me wrong, XFC is a very phenomenal gym just with the striking. Just with their kickboxing. But I want to become an MMA fighter. And I understood that in 2021, after I think it was my second or third amateur fight, that I needed to start outsourcing if I wanted to become something far and go far with this. So I started going around with some gyms, dipping my toes in some areas, and thankfully everyone's doors were so open and supportive of me trying it out. And I just found a good home at Absolute MMA. And in 2020, during COVID, Burak Abi opening up his doors, and he's a good role model for me, a really good figure in my life that's been able to not only impact me martial arts and skill level wise, but mentality too, as a person and character. But yeah, so I do most of my training MMA wise at Absolute MMA. I do my grappling at ASA and Absolute St. Kilda, and then I do most of my striking at XFC, and I run the flag there. I'm trying to beat up a few boys, Mujabur Rajabi, Jawad Rajabi, Shakur Jan. We've got a few other boys up there that are in Part the Hex. Jawad Rajabi just won the Part the Hex title. So as a young coach, I'm fulfilling a lot of criteria. Ashane Pereira just won the TikTok belt as a champion under my name. And then we just had one of my students, Hunter, the Armbar King, win his match on Fusion Championship. So it's cool to see that at XFC, I'm building. Where at Absolute MMA and at ASA, I'm growing. So that's the main thing.
Do you find it difficult to focus on your own career and obviously helping out your teammates?
Yeah, so that's actually a thing that I just ran into. So I'd like to consider myself a very empathetic person. I care a lot about my students and my friends and my peers, and look out for them no matter what. But it's about time. With 18 days out, I'm going to start focusing on myself. So I made the call no more clients. There's no upcoming competitions. And I apologize to all my students. I did say, look, I got to start being selfish and I got to start caring about myself. So I learned a lot through Burak Sarman. You know, he balances his own gym and he's a full-time athlete. He just versed the best in the world, Tynan, you know, and he told me a few of the difficulties that he faces as a coach, as a gym owner, and as an individual to take his professional lifestyle simultaneously. You know, I learned a lot and then he guides me well. So I take inspiration off of that.
Can you put into words just how good Burak Sarman is when it comes to jiu-jitsu? Because I don't think people are really aware.
He's the best in Australia. He's the best in Australia, and he's going to make his name known at the next ADCC trials, inshallah, and get into ADCC. Don't get me wrong, he had a tough match against Tynan, but he's just something different. When you roll with him, it's just crazy.
And in terms of mixed martial arts, what's the biggest lesson you've learned throughout your amateur career mainly that you've picked up heading into your pro career? And when was the moment that you knew it was time to go pro?
After IMMAF, that was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I worked my ass off, and I knew that IMMAF was the pinnacle.
Just quickly explain
IMMAF,
to the people that don't know, because it's essentially almost like a world championship in a weird way.
Correct. So the best way I describe it is that it's the Olympics of MMA.
Yep.
Getting into the national team is hard as. Not only is it networking, but you got to be good. You got to be the best in Australia. And it was I think I was the only person from Melbourne to get selected. Other than that, it's like basically 2 to 3 people from each state. That's about it. It's a small team. It's hard to get in. And how do you get in? Got to be good. So I worked my ass off. I proved it through my actions and I got in. And essentially, you don't just verse any individual. You verse the best of the best in each nation, whether it's from Russia, Kazakhstan, Spain, Estonia, which is the guy I versed, New Zealand, you know. But it was a phenomenal experience, and I understood that that's the pinnacle. Once I complete that, there was nothing left for me to do. So I was working my way up to IMMAF, got that done, and through that experience, I grew so much. And there was a few things that I want to tick off my bucket list before I had my professional debut. I ticked all those bucket lists off. I made the corrections, and now it's time to fulfill a childhood dream, and that's the best way I can describe this fight.
Now, when it comes to professional to amateur, we have a lot of amateur boxers to professional boxers, and they say that sometimes it's almost a completely different sport. Of course, you go from the 3 3-minute rounds to the 3 5-minute rounds. Is there sort of any changes to your training, your mentality, your mindset on going into these longer rounds?
Mentality, yes. Skill-wise and all that, I think the duration suits me even better. You know, I think that it suits my style. But look, I really want to put a statement. I've got a 3-fight plan in play in my mind that I want to execute. Harry fits perfectly a part of it. And I'm just going to go out there and do my thing and have fun and showcase who I am. I don't want to say too much. I want to prove it through my actions, you know? So time will tell. It's inevitable. But I've been visualizing and manifesting every single day. Even on my run today, bro, I was just manifesting and visualizing so hard on what I want to do, what it's going to be like, and what's to come from it.
Is it one version of the fight, or do you go through multiple versions?
Bro, from the weigh-ins, from the walkout to what I'm going to do. Like you'll see, sometimes you see my mates give me shit, or sometimes I'll be sleeping and I'll like, even in the car, I'm napping, and sometimes I'll just like switching shit. It's me visualizing and mimicking things that are going to happen in the fight. I do that because when it comes time for the fight, I've already been there before. You know, it actually helps with my nerves, and I just perform really, really well because I know what's going to happen. You know, in my mind, I see it. It's about putting it into action and making it happen.
Can you tell us what's going to happen?
You will see, but I aim to make a statement, inshallah, and put my name on the map. So a lot of people don't know me. If you look at the odds, I think it's like 9-1 or something. People count me as the underdog. Harry's got a big name. All respect to him. But he hasn't versed the level of athletes that I verse and the caliber of athletes that I verse. You know, I aim to show the level that I'm on. I hope his training camp's going really well. I'm going to put on an exciting fight, inshallah. I'm on the biggest card ever in Australia, Hex Fight Series 27. We've got phenomenal absolute MMA fighters on there. There's a few other fighters on there, but I'm just thrilled and honored to be a part of the biggest show in Melbourne, biggest show in Australia, and to put my name on the map.
And is there anything about Harry Webb's game that concerns you at all? Because, I mean, he's been highly touted for a very, very long time, and he's had a similar route to you, which is take your time, dominate the amateurs, then go pro and don't rush it. So you guys have had almost a very similar parallel career. Like you said, you've been a little bit more in the shadows than he has. He's gotten to sort of get a little bit of the limelight, and obviously you got that first jump into professional. But is there anything out of Harry's game that really concerns you?
Other than his explosiveness, not really. I truly believe I'm levels above him, and I aim to showcase that. I've been doing my SNC training to build up my explosiveness, and other than that, with all due respect, I don't see any threat. I don't see any threat. I aim to have fun out there, but we do have a game plan in play just in case the fight does go bad for whatever reason. But I want to have fun in it, man. This is a younger version of myself 5 years ago, or even years ago. I've always manifested and dreamed of this moment. Now, in 18 days, I get to fulfill the young version. This fight isn't for anyone else except the younger version of me. And when I get on that mic, I'm just going to say it. I made you proud, Kaan. The younger version of myself, I made you proud.
Well, speaking of the younger version of yourself, I mean, what made you begin this journey?
So I have an older brother, and I was always the younger, jealous, envious brother that whatever he did, I wanted to do too. So my brother was a big inspiration in terms of getting me into the sport. And then in year 7, another guy, Edan Selvi, ever since then, we haven't stopped ever. Every single day, it's been just a part of a lifestyle. But I'd say what got me into the sport is my older brother.
So did he want to become a MMA fighter, or how to start for him?
Exactly as you said, he wanted to become an MMA fighter. Then life got in the way, and he copped an injury, so he actually can't bend. I don't mean to be rude, but he can't bend
He's flipping me off right now.
But he can't bend this finger, so he actually can't put his hand in a glove. Oh. So all he does now is jiu-jitsu. But he's been a big role model for me in terms of my career. He's always there for me, supporting 100%, and I think it's one of the most beautiful and purest things that me and my brother share.
And look, that's awesome. I just wanted to kind of, in 5-10 years, where do we see Kaan Husmek?
Let me explain this first. 3-fight plan. I want August 18th, inshallah, get the win. From there, September, whether it's Eternal Sydney, if I can get on that sick. If not, the Queensland one, I'm not too sure. Sometime in September. From there, October, Fusion Championship. From there, November 18th, Hex Fight Series. After 3 fights, inshallah, 3 fights, 3 good wins. Then my 4th fight, I want it on an international promotion like Brave or Bellator. But I want that one more before Ramadan. So I want to get that 4th fight in before Ramadan. 3 fights, 3 good wins, and I can get it on an international promotion. That's money. That's my goal right now. But in terms of 5 to 10 years, inshallah, an individual that people know about even more. I manifested this when I versed Roberto Di Frias on ADCC. I said, I lost to him, don't get me wrong. He full went into the ADCC, man. High caliber athlete. But I said, I've been taking my lickings. I've been learning from it. But in 2 to 3 years, inshallah, people will know my name. A year and a half has passed. We're nearing up on that 2-year mark. I think it's about time, especially when this 3-fight plan gets executed, inshallah. Everyone's going to know who I am, inshallah.
I mean, it is funny you say that, because I take you back to when in Melbourne for Hex Fight Series 26 back in May. At Demolition, I believe you came up to me and you said to me, you had a little chat. And at the time I was like, I don't know who that is. And then, but I knew your name. And then I see this Harry Webb fight and I was like, oh, okay. And the way that you spoke to me, like you had this glare, this sort of like, you were like, hey, thanks for covering the sport. But the way you said it, it was this thing of like, we're going to chat one day. I'm going to be a champion. It's hard to explain it, but it's like you just had this look in your eye.
I've got conviction, man. I've got conviction, purpose, and I display that with a lot of my students, and I aim to allow them to understand and display these skills on full notice. You ever watch any of my vlogs, you see my students apply the same characteristics that I've learned in my life. Even though I'm young, don't get me wrong, I'm not fully 23? Wise. Yeah,
23.
I know. Yeah, I'm 23, but I've learned a lot of these characteristics that I put onto my students, and you'll just see whatever I have in them as well. But I believe I'm destined for something big. I truly believe it. And my lifestyle is full of it. The way I act, the way I conduct myself, what I do, my work ethic. I fully make sure I put my effort into everything and I believe in myself with utter conviction.
So what is the biggest life lesson and the biggest MMA lesson you've learned in your journey?
In 2022, it happened to me. So, um, selfishness, being very selfish and honed in on yourself gets you very far, but it can only get you so far. When you get to the top, it's not worth getting there by yourself. You're not going to have anyone to share the moment with. When you get to the top, when I get to the top, I want to get to the top all together. So when I won the Partex title, I was full selfish and I realized my circle was distancing and I only had a limited amount of people left, which was my family. When I started to realize that people started to veer off and I wasn't a good person to be around, I took a step back and I realized it's got to be a fine balance. So being unselfish, there's got to be a time and a place to be selfish. Like in this current instance, I did all I could with my teammates and my students. Now it's time for me to be selfish. But yeah, I hit like a little bit of a block and I'm like, wow, I'm losing a lot of people. And just really honed in and realized that the environment that I'm in, how grateful I am to have the surrounding that I have. I've got older people that guide me and to not just leave them behind, always be there for the people that got me up to where I am today.
How are you being selfish?
In terms of just really focusing on myself, whether it's training wise, my training partners, I don't really care about them. Not caring about people's emotions, just being shit to be around, my attitude and my demeanor. And just really, however you think a selfish person would be, that was me.
And the loss kind of set you straight, or?
I didn't lose. I didn't lose the fight. I won the fight. But I noticed my surroundings started to change and it started to get less and less.
So the part the Hex almost victory was a bigger life lesson than the IMMAF.
Not as big, but it wasn't just a Partex thing. It was another incident that happened at Demolition behind the scenes, which I don't want to get into, but I learned a lot of that experience too. That was a big wake-up call. And then the little instance with one of my coaches, it was a quick reality check. It was a multitude of things. I'd say it was a multitude of things that was like a big slap in the face, like, hey, wake up.
Are these people still in your life? Like, did they stay right out with you or did you lose them?
Of course. No. Of course. I just felt that distancing and I regained it and I'm keeping it.
Okay. I like it. You're heading into the pro ranks, and that's why when you do interviews with me, I love to prod and stir.
Go for it, brother. I'm all for it.
No, not at all. I like that. I like sort of asking those. I mean, they get personal sort of questions, but I mean, that's the thing that the people love is, and like you said, is the fact that you're learning these life lessons. It's always good to see where it stems from. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I think people are always intrigued, did you think you were the best? Are you rocking up to training drunk with all these girls because you're the man now? You know what I mean? I think that's what people envision, because I think that's what some people would do if they started to win and win and win. And so I think that's why people like to get the inside. They like to get inside of your mentality to sort of figure out where does a fighter go wrong so that perhaps they don't repeat the process.
Hey, I'm open book and I'm happy to share with anything. I'm still young in this game, but I'm learning and I'm evolving and I'm happy to share it with anyone that wants to know.
How are you, like personal life? Are you a party boy or are you training?
Bro, I'm hard into this lifestyle. No distractions, no misses. I don't have time for them. Don't like the party stuff. I don't like alcohol at all. I love to train and I love the journey. As my coach Burak Salman says, the journey matters, and it's a lifestyle for me. This is what I love to do, and this is legit what I live and breathe.
If you're working with Burak, are you training much with Kit Campbell, Jake Matthews?
Yeah, so when I was at AET for a little bit, that's where I got into the training with Jake Matthews and a few of them boys. Alhamdulillah, and I'm grateful that Kit's been able to help me out and give me his knowledge and time as well. But yeah, I've gotten good looks from a lot of high-level people that have been in the pathway and been in the industry that I'm chasing right now. And I've learned a lot. Like I said, I've got a lot of older people in my life that are a lot more wiser and have lived through the things that I'm going to live, and they guide me perfectly.
Do you know how Kit's doing after the loss to Kevin Ducey?
To be honest, bro, I spoke to Jacob about that. I haven't seen or heard of Kit in a while, but I think he's doing well. I think he's just busy with life, man. Life.
And kind of a half personal question as well. Jake Matthews made a bit of news converting to Islam. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on that?
It's beautiful, man. It's really beautiful. By no means did anyone force it upon him. It comes naturally to you. And being with Burak Abi, don't get me wrong, they're not full forcing on you, but you can see the brotherhood element in it. And Jake has always been in that environment. I think, I'm not too sure, don't quote me, but I think he's always been in that environment. And I think it was only a matter of time before he did. And best way to describe it, it's beautiful.
Awesome, mate. And before I let you go, I just wanted to ask you this. After it's all said and done, how does Kaan Husmek want to be remembered in mixed martial arts?
A kid that just believed in himself, chased the dream, and made something of himself. A successful. I got this quote. I don't want to be famous. I want to be successful. With successfulness comes happiness. With happiness comes peace.
I mean,
wow, bro, that was crazy. That was crazy.
You can't say, mate. You can't do much better than that, mate. That's a perfect thing to end on. We will have many chats in the future. I'll obviously catch up with you in Melbourne as well when I'm there for Hex. I'm really looking forward to it, mate. I'm very excited about your pro career, and this is one of the most exciting fights. Kaan Husmek taking on Harry Webb August 18th. Hex Fight Series 27, Melbourne Pavilion. Hit up hexfightseries.com to find out more. And everyone can find you on YouTube and Instagram, Kaan Husmek.
Correct. Kaan Husmek on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Just blast it, guys. Blast the numbers.
Brother, absolute honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.